Hi, this is Tony, CEO at Yeti. We, over the last couple days, organized an internal AI hackathon to experiment with some of the vibe coding AI tools. If you don't know what vibe coding is, it's something that has emerged recently where people are leveraging AI tools to write the majority of the code. This is having a profound impact on software development, especially in the early stages. And we thought it was important to get the whole team together and figure out and experiment with these tools. We had a lot of really cool projects built. So here are some of the projects and what we learned.
We are building a Songlio clone, and we are building it because Songlio is broken most of the time, and it's our favorite game. We'd rather end up tomorrow with a non-working app and having pushed AI as far as we think it can go than to have created something very safe feeling. So this uses front end, back end, an API integration with like a music service, WebSockets for the real-time events moving around.
Rudy had mentioned Code Guide as a way of putting together a lot of like project documents. You give it all this information. What do you want to build? What's your tech stack? Like, what are the things you want to use? And it generates this questionnaire. And so after you fill this out, it generates like this initial like project outline. It breaks down like core features and then the flow, and it's going to create each of these documents that you just saw in the previous screen. But it gives you like the flow chart of like this would be the experience for a user and like searching a song, getting live results. There is this option here where you can copy the prompt and it will set up, like give you the prompt in such a way that's supposed to work for that particular tool that you've chosen. And that is something we did. And we started first with V0.
So V0, not the most attractive one. Don't get scared here. Pretty ugly. But we were impressed. Like it started giving us a lot of functionality that was starting to work. We started getting excited, then started seeing a lot of errors, and it got into a state where it was just never-ending error, and we kind of gave up on V0.
So then we thought maybe it would be a good idea to eject from this, try some other tools after a bunch of versions were coming out and we were kind of consistently hitting roadblocks. I had a decently optimistic attitude about Claude. What we did with Claude was I took the same documents that Liz and Laura generated with Code Guide. I fed those into Claude, and this is going into the code base that we set up. Ultimately, the output, I think, was a bit better than V0, but we were getting stuck on some places where it was having trouble understanding the logic that it needed for the game. And then it was starting to create redundant logic and components to try to solve those problems. We couldn't use Claude forever because Claude was the most expensive option that we had, I think. So we kind of cut this off and making some good progress with some other tools.
We were able to see one round, but then we just kept on seeing a lot of errors, whether it was like keeping up with the scores or everyone seeing the right round.
The last ditch effort was to try to create like a permanent state, like save the songs and everything into the database and have everything more permanently in the database instead of socket events, just synchronizing everything across all of the different browsers, try to centralize that in the back end. And it didn't work.
What we tried to take an approach was kind of like a one shot prompts to build an app with everything we want in it, and then slowly start to like try to fix and iterate and add things it didn't add that we wanted on it, or bugs that are happening, which probably is not the right or best process to take for this. The better approach, if we had the time, would be to use Code Guide, put the documents into your project, use something like Cursor that references those documents, and you sort of work on more of like a ticket or feature-based approach. I think another clear takeaway is that 4 of us is like way too many to work on something like this at a time, but it's kind of hard with 4 of us to be in something like V0 or Lovable. We started to talk a bit about having design involved and maybe a couple of developers to architect or set it up, but then really it feels like one developer could then shepherd the thing through and work on it.
We are building a mobile web app that tells you what to ride and when at the Disneyland Resort.
We're using Lovable pretty much exclusively with their integrations with GitHub and Supabase. I have not used any of those before. We had to do a mobile web app. You can select different rides you want to make sure to do, what time you're getting at the park, where do you want to end your day at the park, do you want a chill mode or efficiency mode? So it's suggesting right now I should get on Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. It's a 30-minute wait. And then after that, I should go to Pirates of the Caribbean.
If you're building something with AI and it's going to have data sources, you have to explicitly say which data sources to use, and explicitly say things like, give me citations, give me links, make sure I understand where you're getting all the data from.
I think a lot about Sulu these days. And so a big thing that's kind of an issue with Sulu is that right now you have to jump out of the tour builder and then go into something called GeoJSON and create a route, and then that exports as an XML file, and then we have to import that into the back office at Sulu, and that sucks. So we started there using Cursor, and within an hour or two, stand up route builder was then able to basically make it so that you could export a KML of a route. So pretty quick and easy. And then from there we were like, okay, well, what can we add onto this? And so then we sort of went in 3 different directions. The first of which was Corey.
So my feature that I added was the Discover Interesting Routes feature. And basically you click this, it'll open up a modal and you'll see this bounding box around here. You can change the search radius and then how many points of interest and categories and stuff. It gives you 5 spots, random interesting spots that you can take a tour on. We are getting an image for it, and on top of that, a description.
And then what I had added on after all of that was adding, once you hit save and export, it also takes you here where it will show you it was supposed to show all of the individual routes, and I couldn't coerce it into doing what I wanted. So instead, what it does is just show you everything kind of en route, or sometimes things in the area.
A lot of this was just done in kind of my usual AI stack of Cursor and ChatGPT, but I experimented a little with Windsurf. I also experimented a little bit with the new Gemini 2.5, which is a new model from Google. This exercise really cemented that vibe coding is really is a powerful tool. But yeah, it's if you lean too hard on it, you can get really lost in the sauce. I couldn't tell you anything about the architecture of the code. I couldn't tell you about specific decisions that it made or anything. So it's you need to either supplement with a functioning human or I guess add more AI tools.
I was very surprised that Lovable and V0 were able to get as far as they were. I was definitely thinking of them as front end prototyping only, and they just we're can you add Deezer so we can select songs? And it said, bet.
This is a serious opportunity for us because our price points, our entry level price points are so high, and that is the number one thing that is prohibitive to us signing business. So it's if we can, when we scope things, it's there is easily $25,000-$30,000 that immediately happens from standing up a code base and putting it on a server. So it's if we can bring that barrier down, that's huge, from a cost perspective, and being able to win business.
I'm optimistic about Cloud Code being a very powerful tool for using our tech stack to spin up prototypes so that we can get quick iterations and demos out of what an application could be. I think Claude might be the most powerful tool. The stuff that's coming back has been pretty promising.